Okay, so now that we have the rear end drawn, we're going to draw the front end, and hopefully we can make this as easy as possible. So I want to draw a random line from our front axle up, and what we'll do is we'll actually dimension this to be our head tube angle. I know it's not actually our head tube, but it's going to be a line parallel to that. So our head tube angle on this is 68.8. Turn. Now we're going to use offset tool to hopefully offset that line. And you can see here that it's offset in the wrong direction. So I'm going to hit reverse and change the direction on that. And right now it's set to 60 millimeters, but the offset on this is what the fork offset is. So that's 44 millimeters. So I'll type in 44, hit tab, and you can see our new preview looks pretty good. So I'm going to approve that and click OK. Now it did offset this line down here. We don't need that, so I'm just going to right click that and delete that. All right, now I'm going to just draw, I'm going to just draw a random line down here really far, and I'm going to take this line, this is actually our head tube, and I'm just going to extend that down to this random line. And I'll show you why we're doing that in a minute. So up here where it says trim, there's also another tool just below it called extend. So I'm going to click on the extend function, I'm going to click on this line, and you can see it extended to this. I'm going to click it one more time and extend it all the way down. So let's zoom in here. We've got our front axle here, we have our head tube angle here, and what we need to do is draw a line that's perpendicular from our axle to our head tube. So I can go over here and you'll see that it'll snap to perpendicular. I can click OK. All right, so now I'm going to hit escape, and we don't need these lines anymore, so I can use that trim tool again that we used earlier, trim that off, and I don't need this line at all either, so I can right click and delete that line. So if we zoom out, you can see we've got our head tube angle here, we have just a random line right here, and it's offset 44 millimeters. Now, using all of that information, we're actually going to put in our axle to crown length and determine where our head tube needs to go. So I'm going to draw a circle here at our front axle, and I'm going to pull out a certain distance just kind of randomly, and then we need to dimension this. And again, it's drawing a full circle, but we only needed the radius, so I have to do a little bit of math when I dimension it. That diameter right now is 764, but we need it to be, the axle to crown is 530.2, so if we multiply that by 2, that makes it 1060.4, and that's actually where our head tube's going to end up. So I'm going to use that tool, not trim, but just below it is extend. I'm going to extend this line to that circle, escape. I don't need the circle anymore. I can delete that, and I can actually now I can delete this line too, and hit delete, and I can actually draw a line from this point down to my axle, and that's actually my axle to crown measurement. So if I go back and put a dimension on this angle to here, 68.8, that's great, I like that. And I also am going to put a dimension down here, and that's our offset of 44, and that looks good. All right, now I can actually get rid of that dimension if I want, because it's not actually being used anymore. So now that we've got our head tube placed, I can actually draw a line extending our head tube angle, and I just drew a random length, and again use my smart dimension tool, and oh, wrong angle. The smart dimension of this is 90 millimeters. So now I can draw a line from the top of that to show our effective top tube, and I'm just going to draw it kind of randomly long, and now we have our C tube here, and we can actually use that extend tool again and extend this up to, oh, sorry, incorrect. I'm going to draw a line from my C tube up to my effective top tube, and I can trim that. So just trim the end off of that. Now, if I measure this, hopefully we're close to what the effective top tube is. I'm going to measure it. It says it's 602, and looking at my bike frame dimensions, the top tube is actually 595. So we're about 7 millimeters off somewhere. So I'm going to, what you can actually do now is dimension this, and we can dimension that to be 595 and click OK, and it'll actually pull that up just a little bit. And then now we've got a nicely dimensioned bike frame. I can now just kind of draw a random tube up here for my top tube, just make sure it intersects that head tube angle, and then draw a random tube down here at the bottom. So as I've been calling this before, this is kind of the skeleton of your bike frame. We've got all the proper dimensions in here: wheelbase, bottom bracket drop, head tube angle, head tube length, axle crown, offset, and all those kind of things. So this is a great starting point. My advice to you is save what you have. I'm going to save this, and this is a Trek, and it's a medium. So I'm going to call it Trek Medium and save it. And then from here, your next steps are to turn it into construction lines, add some tube thicknesses to it, and trim off some little bits. But this is the hard part. So good luck, good job, and let me know if you have any questions. Thank you.